Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with something I hear almost every week in my office. But Anamika, this looks academic. It sounds academic too. A student hands me an essay, beautifully formatted, elegantly phrased, and insists that they wrote it. The sentences are polished. The structure, flawless. But the thinking, it's chaotic. Because AI doesn't think the way humans do. It sounds like it does. In academic writing, we raise and train students to build coherence and cohesion. AI, on the other hand, mostly specializes in churning out words with speed and enthusiasm. And that is the first roadblock in the EAP learning landscape. Today, we are talking about the potentials and roadblocks of AI in the learning landscape. And I have a panel of lovely, intelligent experts from almost all over the world. We have 5 people, beautiful people over here, and I would like them to introduce themselves. Please stand.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here in Dubai. Thank you all for coming to our panel session. My name is Dr. Karen Freeberg. I'm coming in from Louisville, Kentucky in the United States, where I'm a professor in strategic communications at the University of Louisville, but I'm also a director of a student-run agency called The Bird's Nest.
Good morning, everybody. From my first name, you can see that my mother tongue is German, actually Swiss German to be precise, which is a bit different, just like Catalan and Spanish, maybe. Difference, what defines me is a passion for languages, a passion for computers. I've used computers early on in language teaching. I teach English, French, and Spanish, and I'm teacher trainer, University of Zurich. Now I'm with an organization that is called Digital Learning Hub in Zurich, and we support secondary schools and vocational schools in the digital transformation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Faisal Mohammed Al-Utaibi. I'm an assistant professor at Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. I work in the Department of Computer Science. I'm focusing in AI for cybersecurity and AI for education. Currently, I'm working with King Fahd Medical City for research, how to use AI in medical imaging.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dong Lee from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Currently, I'm a senior lecturer at School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I teach a wide spectrum of courses, such as data science and AI for undergraduate students. I also teach supply chain management, operations management courses for graduate and BA and executive students. Also, currently, I'm the Deputy Director of a Master of Science in Supply Chain Engineering program, where I coordinate and manage and running this MSA program for NTU. In NTU, we have actively bring AI in education, and we're happy to be here to share something about what we do in NTU. Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. My name is Mahmoud Al-Hadidi. A mechanical engineer by background. I've started my career in academia as a mechanical engineering instructor. Then I did also my MBA. I started also teaching within Sultan Qaboos University, introduction to business. Then I moved to the industry because I felt academia, in itself, you need also to blend it with industry so that you'll be able to teach something that is not only theories. So I've been in the industry now within oil and gas in a company called Oman Liquefied Natural Gas for the past 20 years. I've moved through various areas within human resources, recruitment, talent management, learning and development. And the last one is to do with HR transformation and digitalization. And this is why also I'm passionate about this topic, which is I'm looking at it from the perspective of the employer, if you look at it from that perspective. My passion for education also continued. I've started my own private school, so I do have 2 branches of private schools, not only a school, but also I have a nursery. So my passion for education continued, and for the past 15 years, I've been also into education basically as an owner of a school, but not teaching. So I'm looking at things basically from high-level point of view, But through my experience, I'm looking at things from various spectrums, be it from the teaching point of view or even from the graduates that they go to the workforce and the gaps, if you like, between the academia and the workforce. That's basically me. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much for your introductions. My introduction has already been given, so I'm not going to bore you with that again. We are trying to look at this topic from the bigger picture to a smaller one, and going down to the bare, nitty-gritties of the classroom. So in that sense, I would request Mr. Mahmood to start the conversation.
Okay, thank you, Anamika. So when I look at the bigger picture when it comes to this topic, I think we really need to have some sort of a framework within the education sector. And that framework, when it comes to the AI, I look at it from 5 pillars. So the first pillar, I think that it should be with mindset shift. The problem that as we speak, there is lots of negativity about AI, and AI is here to take jobs. So we need to have that willingness among the students that this is something good, what's going to happen with AI. Curriculum review is also something that I would love to see that we really need to look into it. And across, starting from even kindergarten up to university, we need really to look into to review those curriculum, because we've heard it even in various sessions that how the curriculum is outdated. There's lots of bureaucracy when it comes to education, and we really need to be agile in a way to move and keep pace with the fast changes taking place. Future-ready skill set, and I've heard also even in the last session, panel discussion session, there should be some skill set that we really need to look into. I mean, there are things to do with creativity. There are things to do with what I say, that those human skills, which is it's far more important than the technical skills, if you like, because these cannot be mimicked by AI. So when you look at creativity, for example, when you look at problem solving, and also more important is the learning. So long life learners within students is very crucial. I see it because the pace of change is a lot, and you need to learn, unlearn. So we need to instill it as a skill within our kids, and this is very important. Another fourth pillar I see it is a connected ecosystem, which is you shouldn't work in isolation. So there is the education, there is the industry, and there's the community. So all of those three need to work in collaboration. I mean, I've been, as I've told you, within human resources, receiving your graduates. And we've always been talking that there is a gap between academia and the workforce. And why is that gap? Because we don't tend to talk that much. And I think the talk needs to take place from the beginning, when you are starting designing those programs. So you shouldn't just design the programs and then you have your own graduate, then you try to solve the problems, the issues that are being created. So connectivity is very important. Internship, for example, I've heard also about internship, and this is very important that those kids need to be exposed to internship so that they build their own network, they get to know what's really the market need. So those things need to be taken into consideration. Community as a whole, the community need to be aware of what's coming, be it in terms of positivity and negativity. And I think it's not all bleak, by the way. I went to various sessions throughout in the past 2 days, not only here in the education, but in the other rooms. And I've seen the negativity is quite a lot, to be honest. As a person, I'm someone who's optimistic, and I see this is coming with lots of good things. If we look at the fourth the industrial revolutions, we had 4 of them now. With all industrial revolutions, there are more jobs created, if you look at history. And I'm saying with this industrial revolution, there are more jobs to be created. Just we need to be able to learn and unlearn, which is very crucial for the students. And finally, governance and quality assurance. I mean, in terms of governance, we need to have a governance system. We need to have some sort of policies, procedures. and also quality assurance for the education that we are providing to our kids, especially when it comes to teacher training and other stuff, and how the ways of teaching is changing. I mean, the generation changes that has taken place. So the way that I used to teach, it's different now how I used to study is different now how is my son who's 5 years or 6 years old. So it's you need to the different teaching methodology need to be implemented, and we need really to look into this, and we need to have some sort of KPIs and some sort of reviews. So we need to enhance our education system regularly, and this is really very crucial. Those are the 5 pillars that I would love to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. I would now request Hans-Jürg Perino to take the conversation forward.
Well, I'm going to talk about substitutive use as against augmentative use of AI. I actually wanted to produce or to project an image, but they said it's not possible. So you have to stare at our images and maybe spot the differences from our live appearance for another half hour. But I'm going to give you an image in words. You've all flown into this conference, I suppose. You've been at the airport and you all know these long finger dog corridors that we have to walk, but luckily they are conveyor belts. Now you can react differently to them. Some people just walk alongside the conveyor belts and don't use them. So they advance just at their normal human speed. Theoretically, you could just throw your hand luggage onto the conveyor belt and it would arrive maybe somewhere near the gate you actually have to go. You would stay behind and you wouldn't have an idea. That is substitutive use of AI, if you think of AI as the conveyor belt. You know, it gets there, but you haven't got a clue how and why and if it's really the right thing, and you don't learn anything. There are, of course, situations where it does make sense that you use the conveyor belt only. We all do that when we check in our big luggage. You know, we hang a prompt or a label on it, and then we trust that this endless system of conveyor belts that we never see, the black box, will get our luggage to the right place. More often than not, that actually happens. Well, not always, as my son and I have experienced here, because we arrived on Sunday and our luggage only arrived yesterday. Yeah, so it makes mistakes. So that would be another use. But let's go back to the finger dog. If you decide to use the conveyor belt, you can just get on it and not walk, stand still. That will propel you about at the same speed as a person walking alongside. It might be a use, you know, you just use AI instead of Googling, but you don't use its full potential. You only use its full potential when you start to walk on the conveyor belt, because then you're actually faster, yeah? And then you get to your gate in time, let's say, if you're a bit short in time. So use the conveyor belt in an intelligent, smart way, use the full potential. What does that mean in the classroom? If you're a teacher and you say you have prepared a lesson, you could just walk along on the side of the conveyor belt and teach the lesson. Fine, good, they would learn. But now with AI, you could think, okay, this is maybe a visual lesson, or it's an auditory lesson, or it is a read and write lesson. But why not create another one now with AI? In addition, you can be redundant, or you can offer your students choice, because now it is possible to use these materials that you have already, tell AI to produce just the same sort of content in a different fashion, auditory, whatever, what I mentioned. And then your students have got choice, or they have got redundancy. Maybe they want to study the lesson twice in 2 different ways. And as we know, learning with redundancy is a good way of learning, because then it really sticks when we have seen it several times in different ways. Students can compare what they studied, what is the same, what is not, etc. Or I'll give you another example. I'm a language teacher. You have got the course book, and typically there is one text for one unit that explains a type of structure like conditionals or past tenses, whatever it may be. This text, I mean, textbooks have become better, we have to admit that, but it's one text that may or may not interest the students. But imagine you ask the students, what is your interest? Football, skiing, surfing, ballet dancing, painting, music. And then you ask AI, take this text that you have already and produce another one that is geared towards the interest of the student. And so maybe you create 5 texts or 6 or even more, and then groups of students will study the same content with the same vocabulary they can put in, the same structure, but with a text of their own interest. And in addition to it being more interesting, they can afterwards go and compare. You don't even have to tell the students what they need to study. They can afterwards compare and say, what do these texts have in common? And they will discover, oh, they have got all conditional structures, or these vocabulary items are there, and they can talk to each other. Another good thing, peer with peer. And so you see the augmentative use of AI makes it possible to make lessons more interesting in a short time for you to prepare as a teacher than ever. If you look at the students' practice, there is also 2 ways, well, the dumb way and the smart way of using AI. Let's take the famous example of the essay. If you ask AI to write the essay for you, that is throwing your hand luggage onto the conveyor belt. It goes there and you haven't done anything, you don't know anything. It's just there, it has arrived, you have handed in your task, all done, but you haven't advanced. You're still at the same place. So you get on this conveyor belt, but first, before you get on, you write your own text. Yeah, you get students to really write the first version themselves, and then ask for help, ask for support, ask for feedback. Say, help me make my argument stronger. Check my logical structure. How can I improve it? And of course, check my language as well. And that's how you can learn then from something you have already produced yourself, but then you got feedback and you get fast feedback. You don't have to wait for the teacher to mark your text 2 weeks later, but you get it immediately. And so on. There would be many more examples. Maybe we can come back to them later. I'll hand on now.
Okay, friends, so the third person in the funnel would be, yes, you're right, me. So we all know the potential of AI. We are all talking, this whole conference is talking about that. I want to come with some of the problems in an actual classroom, especially for international students whose English is not their native language. They come to study higher. Their subject knowledge is very nice, but their English knowledge is not good. So then they learn English in order to perform well in international universities. So the biggest, and let me be clear, AI is not the villain here. Rather, it is an over-helpful assistant for you. The sharpest difficulty that I feel in my classroom is the fairness. The recent study by Liang et al. 2023 and Stanford University of Human-Centered AI show that AI detectors are consistently harsher on non-native speakers and non-native writers, mislabeling genuine student work as machine-generated simply because it does not match the narrow model of data feed that they have given. You must have heard about garbage in, garbage out. This is one small example of that. I'm not saying that it is garbage, but it is different data. It is not a data which is aligned with the material here. So for multilingual students who have worked hard to craft their own voice, it is not just a technical glitch. It is a form of algorithmic discrimination. For example, in my last cohort, which I just finished, a highly motivated student shared her frustration about others in her group. They were supposed to write a group report on an academic topic. And she shared her frustration because the rest of the people in her group were using AI for that joint essay. She didn't want to use it, but it was creating a difference in the author's voice in the essay flow. And that got her under pressure to use it, even though she didn't want to use it. And she felt discriminated. The second difficulty that I would like to talk about is the trust and the workload. Teachers are constantly in the departments being told that AI is going to save them time, and some surveys, 3 in 10 have already reported, reclaiming several weeks of a year. But the promise comes bundled with opaque systems, unclear data practices, and pressure to just adopt the tool, often without a proper established governance, training, and clarity about who is accountable when something goes wrong. Without governance, AE deepens inequity. In 2023 UNESCO report, it was found out that without strong guardrails, AI systems simply amplify linguistic bias, rewrite assessment standards silently without the incorporation of the people for whom it really matters and for the people who are actually giving the grades. So it misidentifies non-native speakers as cheaters when they are actually just writing in their own voice. That's not technology. That's, again, algorithmic discrimination at scale. For example, an Arabic L1 interference can cause spelling errors in, for example, in P and B, so a panel can be a banal, or issues like inconsistent capitalization or punctuation overuse, or omission altogether, or a word order reversal reflecting the Arabic right to left script or VSO structure, which is verb subject object structure. Rhetorical challenges can include and make a sentence look poor from the other data feed. And so there can be many examples. I can give you many examples, but these are real pieces of academic writing with critical thinking, logic, and awareness of the topic. And these are real words of a person who's thinking them in their language too. So that creates a lot of, lack of trust and lack of fairness. And we are replacing human judgment with machine efficiency. My assessment work across universities and some very important government institutions have taught me that high-stake decisions about placement, intervention, future opportunities cannot be made in a black box. When an AI system decides that a learner is at risk, someone should be able to explain why. And more than that, someone should be able to explain how they can make it better. It's not about putting them in one box or the other. They can't, if the declaration is coming because of an AI-generated report, that cannot be done. Students from non-native communities will feel the brunt of these invisible decisions. So the core difficulty, as I would say, is the tension between automation and human connection. For example, what AI cannot do is that it cannot detect the quiet anxiety in a learner's face or mind when he's learning and going through that process. It cannot offer the mentorship that shapes the identity and belonging. It cannot replace the teacher who sees potential in a struggling student and say, well, I believe in you. Just work hard and you can do it. For example, again, a very recent example of a very shy student in my class whose performance was varying throughout the year. Upon deeper investigation, I realized that her performance was getting derailed under a variety of pressures, like overthinking, pressure from home, pressure from being in a foreign country, pressure from her boyfriend. Mentoring her with empathy, expertise, and teaching her tricks to overcome that brought out the language performer par excellence. She hugged me when she left. Now, that is something that AI cannot do. I can go on and on, but I would rather like to invite Dr. Faisal Al-Atobi to take the conversation forward.
Thank you, Anamika. AI has become, as we said earlier, that's become the technology that in the university everyone is using, even the student. And they use it like in a very unresponsible way. For example, they do the coursework, they do the assignment, the homework in AI. AI have an advantage and disadvantage in using. For example, the postgraduate student, I never mind they use the AI. For example, people who do the PhD or do master, they do it for research. For example, we spent 6 months to do literature review. With the AI, you can finish it with 1 month. I don't mind for the student to use this technology, but using it in writing the coursework, doing the homework, doing the assignment, even I encourage that anyone who uses the AI use it in a responsible way. For example, you get a high mark now as a student. After you finish, you're gonna go and do the interview for a job. In this interview, everyone will know that It's about the skills, not about grade. By the way, most of the company they don't hire fresh graduate based on their GPA. Now they about the skills. If they have the skills, they will be hired. So I always talk to my student about this point. Use it in a support way. Use it as a support tools. Don't use it as a shortcut. This is what I can say about AI in postgraduate. In undergraduate, I encourage students to do more, or give them more work and to show their critical thinking. Do more work in the class, not in the homework. So this is, you will know the student, how they do the work, they will do it in the class, and you will be sure that they are thinking how to solve their problem or how to solve their issue. This is what I can say from my perspective.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Faisal. I would now request Dr. Karen Friberg to take it forward.
Thank you so much. I think that all of the panelists have shared some great insights, and we've seen this kind of theme around the risks and challenges of AI. And I'm going to take it from a slightly different perspective of looking at the potential. And one of the things that we have kind of seen at this conference is how do you bridge that gap between the industry and academia, like in preparing students for the workforce. And I think AI has brought up a very interesting conversation, at least for my perspective with my students in the United States, where you get kind of a continuum of students who are using it for everything and then others who are absolutely against it. And that kind of goes down the same path from the education side. So I've had students in my classes who have said, yes, there is no AI policy, for this course. We could use whatever tools we want. But then I've also had students come to me in absolute fear because they've said that professors have told them that if they even think about using AI, they'll get expelled from the university. So I'm in the middle of the road where I want to, as we've shared today, I want to have the students to use AI responsibly, ethically, and professionally, as well as legally. And so I think the biggest thing, that I wanted to kind of emphasize is the importance of the professor being a role of not taking, kind of a leadership role, but kind of working with students in this part, because AI is a tool that is used across the board. And I've kind of taken the approach of being a coach where I'm working with the students, I'm letting them try out these tools to kind of look at what are the roadblocks, what are the challenges, but also what's the potential. And those skills are very important for the students to have experience in, because those are going to help them get positions and jobs in the marketplace. So there's two skills that I think that a lot of employers are looking for, but they don't really have them listed on the job market. One is adaptability and one is agility. How fast are you able to adapt to the growing changes that we're seeing with AI? And AI is changing more often than not. One of the other research and consulting areas that I do a lot of work in is social media, and I thought that was fast. AI is even faster. So teaching the students that things are not static, that what you learn today is not going to necessarily be the same, not only a year from now, but just like maybe next week, as these tools and the technology are continually change. So it's like teaching them the behavior of not only continually lifelong learning skills, but how do they implement and adapt their mindset to be able to prepare not only how they would use these tools in the classroom, but how they would help consult with organizations and clients. And then agility is the same way, as if they're faced with a problem or if they're faced with a challenge, how do they utilize AI tools to help manage that? So I look at AI as a tool, but I have a colleague from the University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia. Her name is Dr. Karen Sutherland. She says that using AI tools should be part of the project. You should treat it like an intern helping you solve problems, but in certain tasks, but not focus on basically replacing your creativity, or what she calls losing your human sparkle. And I think also the other thing that I'd like to kind of conclude here with the potential of AI is, if we empower our students with utilizing these tools for educational purposes, they will become a real strong marketable asset for industry, because the industry is looking for students who have this knowledge of not only what these tools are, but how to use them appropriately. So in my role as a professor, I incorporate these in my classes with real world exercises and activities that students are able to apply these tools. But the other role I have is running a student run agency, which essentially that works like a group where students are able to apply what they're learning and working with real clients. So we work with organizations, nonprofits, and global entities. And one of the things that they are asked to do a lot of times is teaching their internal staff about AI. And so this gives the students that confidence and knowledge experience that they're able to say, not only do I know this, but here's how we can apply it effectively. So there's a huge level of potential here for empowering our students to be a really great resource for educational purposes and to really harness those skills out into the workplace. And so as a result of this, we've been around for 4 years for the student agency. We've had over 100 students participate, and we've had almost 100% employment rate, where I have students who are getting hired before they even graduate. So experience with AI is a huge potential opportunity, but also teaching the students the risks and challenges that come with it. Having that balanced perspective is really important.
Thank you so much. And you're so right. I would ask now Dr. Dong Lee to share his thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much. At NTU, in Singapore, we are actively bringing AI in education, but still we're not forcing all the courses to be learned with AI. But from my own experience, and also as a program director, I talked to all my lecturers from all the subjects in my program. Almost all the students, from undergraduate and graduate students, they are using AI in learning. I do see some like benefits and challenging issues in this. First, some students say that AI can be used as a calculator because you just give him the questions, you just put all the things in AI immediately gives the answers, just like we use a calculator. Sometimes students can use AI as a personalized tutor, which is a better way. And then AI can help them to do the step-by-step logical reasoning of the process, how they achieve final answer to the problem, especially in the STEAM engineering education. I would say as an educator, we should lead the way. How do we use AI properly and ethically in the learning and process? And because every student is using it, we cannot avoid it. You should embrace AI. The thing is, as a teacher, as an educator, how should we regulate the students' behavior using AI tools? Basically, in my courses, my opinion is we should develop a framework which is based on the teaching content. And also we should differentiate how AI is used in learning and assessment. So in learning process, we should use differentiated policy or opinion in AI for learning. For example, if your content is like conceptual understanding, in my course, usually I will try to let students study the basic concept of the subject, like say supply chain management. So first, students need to know what is supply chain management. For this kind of like conceptual understanding problem, I think it's no harm to use AI as a calculator. I just put AI in the classroom and let students to give this problem to AI and let AI answer it. There's no harm to do that. But for some other cases, I do use like case study, group-based case study in my teaching in my classroom. In this case, I gave a case, and in this case, students need to think that they are the person who make decisions in a case. And basically for case-based research or case-based education, there is no absolutely right or wrong answers. The thing is, you need to brainstorm, give your ideas, and do discussion and even debate and try to propose your own idea. In this case, how I use AI. In this case, AI should not be used as a calculator. Actually, AI should be used like a peer learner. What I do is, first I let the students to make a group discussion and they propose their new ideas. And then, in the same time, after that, I will use AI and let AI to generate the solutions or the proposals for the case solutions. Then they can compare and debate the solutions given by AI. So I encourage students to compete AI in this case. And in some other cases, it's purely like quantitative, like coding, like mathematics things. In this case, AI can only be used as a tutor rather than a calculator. One thing is I just give you like a mathematical proof problem for my students and show this is the correct answer. But some students come to me, say, Professor, hey, why ChatGPT says differently? So I do found that in STEAM, in engineering, math, this kind of area, AI can make mistakes. This is quite often. So in this case, we should let students know, give them a heads up. In this case, you should try to be brave enough to challenge AI. you should try to facilitate deep learning rather than surface learning, just use AI as a calculator. So at NTU, I collaborate with our colleagues to develop a AI-based personal tutor version rather than just use ChatGPT. Because sometimes if you just let students use ChatGPT, they can use it like in a very unethical way. But if we have a customized software, if you ask the question to the AI tool, the AI tool will not give the answer directly. But the AI will guide you step by step, the logical reasoning, how do you achieve the final answers. In this case, AI can be a personalized tutor, and that's very useful because we usually have a very large class. One of my course has over 300 students. So before that, I cannot give personalized, timely feedback to everybody. But now, if we have this, I create a digital twin of me, which is an AI assistant. In this case, every student can, based on their own learning progress, can ask AI to provide feedbacks during the learning process. So I think that would be the best way how we use it. So just to sum up, we should create a differentiated policy and a strategy how to use AI in learning. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Donnelly. Because we are running short on time, I want to throw a challenge to you guys. In 30 seconds, I'll ask you a question, and in 30 seconds, please give an answer and a final closing line from your side. So I'll start with you, Dr. Mahmood. You have raised the topic of 2 pillars for the framework, national framework of AI readiness. Can you choose any 2 or 3 pillars? And why?
So from my side, I would think that the mindset shift as number 1, because for everyone to embrace, be it students, be it the community, be it parents, to embrace AI, they need to have that mindset shift, because still that there is some reluctance to change, reluctance to what's AI going to bring. This is very important. And a connected ecosystem, which is education, industry, and community, is really important to have that connection among all of them, so that we're going to make future-ready graduates for the workforce who, unlike what we have now, I mean, across the world, I would think, still we have issues that there is a gap between academia and the workforce.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll now ask Dr. Faisal. Please maintain 30 seconds. And you are seeing students rely heavily on AI for coursework. Where do you draw a line between legitimate support and misconduct? 30 seconds and a final closing line.
Okay. The student is, by using an unusual way or unnormal way by the coursework, I can see that for example, I'm just going to give an example in short. If some students submit the work and you check in that work, you will see it's similar, most of the students, then you will know that all of them is using ChatGPT or other AI tools. So if we have a guidance for them how to use it, or use it as a help tool, as a support tool, not as to write for them beside it. I think I finished the 30 seconds, so I don't want to talk more because this topic is taking so much. Yeah,
I totally agree. All of these topics can go way beyond ours. Okay, Dr. Hans-Jörg Perino, how do you see AI for assessment, especially for formative assessment and summative assessment? 30-second closing line. I'm just reminding everyone.
Okay, first of all, I think we're not there to play cops and robbers in schools and to catch them, but we have to show them we understand AI, then they're less likely to try and cheat us. But the thing is, you discuss the wise, the smart use of AI in school with your students. You make them show that they have got an opportunity to learn like never before. They have got tools. If they use them to learn, they can learn and get feedback, formative as never before. We have seen all the possibilities. In summative assessment, there is something called the AI assessment scale. Google it or ask ChatGPT what it is. It has got 5 layers, from using no AI in an assessment, in a task, to you have to use AI to complete it, and discuss the level, agree on the level, and the punching line, take your whole class of students on that conveyor belt and move forward fast with them.
Thank you very much. Dr. Karen, when you think about students being marketable in an AI-driven workplace, which specific skills or habits stand out for you?
I think the willingness to learn and be adaptable to the changes, but then also not being fearful of the change. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to be seeing here with students in terms of the marketability, because there's a lot of fear of the unknown. But if students take action and say, you know what, I'm going to be a student of the profession and not only learn for myself, but be educating and help the other community members and their cohort do well, they'll be in good shape. It's all about experimenting, but also helping others as well. I think that's a big thing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Dr. Dongling, you've talked about integrity readiness. From your vantage point, what are the systems and institutions still underestimating? 30 seconds. Final closing.
Yeah,
line.
just now I talked about how to use AI in learning, but now I want to emphasize how do we use AI in assessment. We cannot rely fully on AI assessment. Basically, I still need to keep the final exam for students. We cannot use any AI tools in assessment. And also for the teacher and institution, we should build the capability to really differentiate AI assisted learning and AI outsourced learning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. For me, the question was, what are the roadblocks and potential of AI in the learning landscape? And I would say, as of right now, bias is embedded in the data itself, and that's the biggest roadblock. And looking ahead, the question is not AI yes or no, but AI on whose terms, with what guardrails, and for whose benefit. And that's where we stop. Thank you so much. We are open for questions.
As educators, my question right now.
Would you like to come near the mic, please? We are old people with bad hearing.
Hi, good morning. So I think over the last 3 days, we've all discussed AI, and AI has been like the elephant in the room. So my question to the panel is, AI is the elephant in the room for who? The teachers or the students? And I really liked any one of you to take up that question for me.
Yeah, I would say that it's an elephant to a room in different capacities.
Correct.
I think for professors, it's new and we would have to adapt and change our learnings. And I've had some colleagues who were like, I've been teaching the same way for 50 years. I'm not going to change through this. So I think the elephant in the room for professors is really having to be adaptable, and learn.
Yeah.
And I think for the students, it's like, how much do we want to rely on AI and how do we balance and kind of not have the ability of losing our human sparkle, as my colleague, Dr. Sutherland said. So there's different elephants, I would say, in the room. But I think what comes forward is if we can come together and see, maybe students can help professors say, how do we continually learn and grow and kind of coalesce, and come together to really make this a great learning dynamic experience where it's a win-win situation. Yeah. But then professors can kind of talk to the students saying, hey, this is how you don't lose your human sparkle. So I think with the elephants in the room, we don't want to keep those elephants in the room on either side. We want to come together to come solve, and we could help each other adapt those because I think they're different.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
There are more answers to your question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's a great question. As a teacher or as a professor, we use the AI as well.
Yeah.
So I can use if I create a coursework, I ask AI. If AI answer the question, that means the coursework, right? It's easy for the student to find the answer through the AI. If I redesign the coursework.
Right, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just as an image again, turn that elephant into a pet of the class that is the friend of all of us, that just helps us along and is cozy.
I love the conveyor belt, and I'm going to use it. But Dr. Dong, I have this for you. I love the way somebody could address the fact that how we can use AI for assessment. My entire takeaway of the last 3 days is we've identified the problem. AI is here to stay. Teachers need to be updated. Students need to be taught. Are we willing as educators to start looking for the solution or working on the solution? Would you agree that we're the adults in the room. We're the teachers or the adults, or the educators or the adults in the room. So we need to lead forward. And would you, or would everyone in the panel, or people in the educators, be ready to first train the teachers, the adults in the room, to show the way, or am I completely off in thinking that way?
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree. So actually, AI is driving for everybody to change, from students to teachers. Of course, students may start first because they say teacher is the AI is very useful, and sometimes teachers can be fearful of using AI. They worry about being replaced. If we have AI, if all students learn with AI, why do I need a teacher?
Yeah.
I agree that as a teacher, if you cannot create something that can be replaced totally by AI, there's no sense for you to be existing.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, we should rethink how should we create a content or teaching content that we can use AI at the same time it's not fully replaced by AI. That's why we need to really lead the way how do we use AI properly to create a personalized, enhanced learning experience for the students.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would like to answer your earlier question. I think AI is not the elephant in the room anymore. I think it is a dog in your room. He's a very trusted, loyal partner sitting next to you, but it has to be trained well and continuously.
All right. I think we'll leave that discussion for another day. But thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dr. Nazik. I work at a university and I train the faculty on how to use tools embedded with AI in their teaching experience. And I always tell the teachers that don't look at AI as an enemy or as something that is bad for the students. Think of it like this. We have a curriculum plan and we have learning objectives that we have to cover at the end of the day. If the student has done that part and has come with the research or has understood or has achieved the learning objective of our plan, of our curriculum or our topic, then why are we asking him, how did you do it? Why are we telling him, which tool did you use to get there? We used to use the library to get the same information. Why weren't you angry when we used the library or the books or the references? So since the student has done the hard work and he has done the research, whether he's using AI, calculator, or whatever tool that he's using, it's all right. As long as you can assess. So the way that we're looking at things is very different, I think. So let's look at it in a different way. You as educators, as faculty members, should be looking at how did the student learn the subject? Did he use critical thinking to solve it? Did he use problem solving to solve these things? And if he did, I don't care what tool he used. Don't you think that's the way that we should be thinking?
I totally agree with you. It's not like an enemy. We just want the student to use it in a right way, not to use it in a very. For example, if ChatGPT write for you, and then you give me the work, then I give you the same questions in the exam, and you didn't know to write a line. That's the bad use of that. So I don't mind the student write it, even if he write it as a reference. There is no problem with that. But tell me, how did you find the answer? Tell me, how did you write it? Did you write it? Did you read? Do you find the information? Or do you just tell them to write for you? So this is the problem, not because of that. Usually I accept ChatGPT or as a reference. I don't mind.
Yes, please.
Well, AI is the new learning partner at the table, as we have said. Use the time with the students to discuss HOTS, higher order thinking skills, the lots we're not so much interested in.
Yes. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to answer? Yeah, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, too, it reminds me of the same conversations that we had like years ago with calculators. They're like, oh, you're never going to use a calculator in an exam. It's like, well, okay, here we are. And so we see basically the same occurrences here with AI. And I agree, like we want to make sure that we understand that AI can be a tool for good, but it also could really bring forth some challenges. And I think it is important for us to really coach the students and say, here's why we want you to use AI tools in this various capacity, but not completely like rely on it 100% of the time, and I think that's, understanding how we could use it for good, but also what are the things that we don't want the students to be using it, I think is really important.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your answers. And I do believe that AI is here to stay. So we have to change our mindset, the way that we're teaching and the way that we're delivering those
And we are
information.
already changing that. We are in a
Yes.
flux right now, in
Yes.
terms of
Yes.
deciding which is the best way. Like in my university, all research essays, the people who have written them, they have to come and defend them. So it's not about what you have used and how you have used. Just tell me, why did you say that for X point? Why is this your thesis statement? And so on and so forth. So we are reaching a place where this is going to stay. So we're not fighting that anymore.
We're not fighting it, but what I'm saying is like I'm getting a lot of resistance from teachers like, oh, everyone's using AI, they're complaining, and we don't want that tone. We want to change it to how can we change our minds into rewire our minds into how to assess these students' skills. Are they really getting what they should? And it doesn't matter what tool they
Look,
use.
the big ships take time to turn, so the ship is turning.
So don't call it a roadblock, or it's not a roadblock. It's actually a tool that is there to help students with
Beautiful.
creativity.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else? Yes, please.
I'm Prajakti Gokhale and I work with mental mathematics ability. So my question is, when we are talking about this AI and students are now shifting from calculators to all these AI tools, is there a threat that after some years, our center in the brain or the mathematics center in the brain will performing or start hampering its functions because we are using too much AI even for calculations, and our in generations maybe maybe human race will have the brain which will not have the ability to do simple mental arithmetic.
Anybody would like to take that?
I think for mathematical engineering educations, of course, the logical is very, very important. If you over rely on AI, that we do see some a negative impact on the learning process. That's why we need to carefully design a way that how students should use the AI tools, and also we should maintain an assessment, a different kind of assessment, like quick quiz or like and a final exam in last course that AI is not allowed to use. In this case, we are checking the real learning progress for the students. But I would say, although learning is very important, but in practice, if you use quantitative studies or mathematical modeling to solve problems, nowadays AI is everywhere. So that's why we do not need to really worry too much about that. If students can really use AI very well, they can really solve the problem. As long as their problem-solving skills can be enhanced, why do we care about that? I think that's my opinion.
Would like to say, anybody else would like to say?
Just
Yes.
if I may add, just from a father point of view, so I have my son, for example, he'll come with some mathematical problems for me to help him with, and I will try to solve it, and sometimes also I struggle. I'll just take a picture of that question and I'll get the response and I'll be able to get all the steps. So that's also a great help for me as a father, and it will be also a great help for my son, in a way to understand the whole process, how step by step in terms of working this problem. So I think this is a good tool if we use it correctly, and I think this is the future, whether we like it or not. Let's change before changed. Thank you.
Yes, Hansri.
We've heard before that logic is very important in coding. And I think logic is also very important in language. If you cannot express your thoughts in a strict logical way, you cannot express what you really think. And you cannot then program, vibe code any AI or just produce a program or an app that does what you really want, because you have to be clear first what you really want. And that is the thinking process, and that is good thinking. If you think of what exactly do I want, what does it look like, in what format does it have to come out, etc. And that is also hard thinking.
And I would also like to say that you were talking about this being a threat. I would like to say humans are very resilient people. We come across many threats in our lifetimes and we pass them and always rise and shine. Like even when internet came, we were also worried that the books will go out of fashion and everything else. I remember my son 15 years back having a boil on his body, and instead of asking me, searching on Google how to manage that. And I, as a mother, felt very disheartened, that, oh my God, my role is over now. But 15 years after, and we are still very connected and loved. So we will, surmount this. Yes.
Frederick Francis from CEO of World Maritime Consultancy, Singapore. Okay, I think AI is important, and it's not about the roadblocks. There are no roadblocks. I think basically we need to provide an attitude to the people, a foundational soft skill. Then AI is a very important tool. So for my side, one of the countries, the head of the human resource development, asked me to train all their trainers. And I looked at it, I said, my goodness, 11 universities, plus. How do I do it? So it's pedagogy. So what I do is I show them a subject on AI. And these people are third world, right? So they won't. But I show them AI is important. And we use a simple subject where AI does it. Then I make them rewrite it in a different way. But the most important part, which they tell me works, is the semiotic walk. I bring them around and I let them sense the surrounding and tell them about situational awareness and keywords. And with that, they love it. But I tell the government, it's very hard to train your trainers on pedagogy, on AI landscape, because many of them are poorly paid. So my 1.5 hours training covers their 1 year salary. So I told them, you need to pay them more. If not, these people would think that being a teacher, it's a retirement job. So unless teachers are paid better, then I would say AI is a very important learning landscape. And my son himself, who is a businessman, he uses AI. And because of that, I have no choice. I had to use ChatGPT to understand it so I could train teachers. But I'm saying it's not a potential. AI is a way of life now. But how we use it, garbage in, garbage out. And we ourselves, if we can become a digital twin of ourselves, we use our brains to help others. So that's my part. And thank you. I learned quite a lot myself.
My huge thanks to you for saying, pay us more. Thank you so much for your kind listening. Thank you. And thank you, my panel. Yes, please.